Yeah, the 50 will be additional 50 to our current employment base. And most of those positions will be technicians, mechanics that will be rebuilding and remanufacturing the equipment.
What is your current employee base?
Across the company, it's 1,400. Here in Evansville, I think we're at, Mike,
152.
Yeah, 152 to be exact.
Kind of a layman's question, but explain to me how Gage ended up helping you stay here in Evansville and not move on to Kentucky or other places. What were some items that they brought up that made it more enticing to stay here?
Well, certainly, as I mentioned in my remarks, some of the tax laws that have been changed, certainly infrastructure that we have here from a road standpoint, with some of the additional new interstates, it allows us to, this equipment that we'll be remanufacturing is quite large in size. It has to be trucked. So the transportation system certainly was key. Having a facility currently here also was part of that. And as I mentioned, certainly the right to work is a key thing as we were looking at relocating.
What are some of the other areas you were looking at locating?
We looked certainly in Western Kentucky because, again, some of the area that we'll be covering with this facility is in that area, and it's in our current area of responsibility for Caterpillar. That was the other area. And then we were looking at some of our other facilities. We have facilities in Eastern Kentucky that are all obviously tied to the mining, and we looked at, do we look at expansions in those areas? And then obviously you have the transportation costs of the equipment that added to that justification not to locate there.
This question is for Mayor Winnecke. Mayor, this is the second business expansion announcement we've had last month, I would say, last 2 months perhaps. How does this move forward with some goals that we've got for the city?
Well, I think it just reiterates the point that Debbie made from the Growth Alliance. We have many job prospects on the table right now that are in the hopper, but the most important ones, the ones that we're working most diligently on are employers that are here. They're looking to grow their existing business, and we do have a number of local employers who want to grow here. And I think this announcement, coupled with Seal Corps from a couple of weeks ago, is a strong indication of just how vibrant our community is.
Just as important as new companies is expanding these companies we already have here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's usually it's better to have an existing company grow and than it is to lure a new company to town. Those are difficult to get, and if we can, to the extent possible, we can incent local companies to grow more. I think our community would be better off.
Mayor Winnecke, do you recall off the top of your head how many of those jobs we have that are in the hopper that are actually companies here in Evansville, here in the area that want to try and expand and are trying to live in the city?
Debbie can answer that.
Sure.
At any given time, we've got about 12 to 20 projects that are active. I think right now we've got 20 active projects, and of those, I believe about 8 of them have been existing companies that we're working with. So it's usually at least a third, if not almost 50%, depending upon what time of the year you're looking at and how many projects are in the hopper.
That sounds like a good sign for the local economy, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Debbie, over there. Something else that I noticed, not only are these about 50 jobs, but they seem to be very well paying, at least $21 or average of $21 an hour. Is that
That's right. Plus benefits.
And how important is it for you when you're looking at trying to help these companies start or even grow at bringing in, I guess, jobs that are more high paying than others?
Well, of course, when we look at any project we're working in terms of what incentives we may be able to put together, we talk to our elected officials to see what they're comfortable with in terms of incentives. And that also is dependent upon not only the number of jobs, are they going to use an existing facility that's been sitting empty for a while, and the pay of those jobs. These kind of jobs are going to rank a little higher than maybe lower paying jobs, and that helps us put together a more aggressive incentive package. And we also work with the state, Dory LaBoo, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation on this. Sarah Hulsman is here. We work with Grow Southwest Indiana to see if we can get on-the-job training. Again, try to pull together as many incentives as we can based on the type of jobs that we're getting in the number.
How long has this facility been sitting empty?
Again, I should have mentioned Ken Newcomb from FC Tucker. I don't remember exactly how long. Donna, do you remember how long this has been sitting empty? I think it's been at least a year that it's been sitting empty.
just so I'm clear, can we talk a little bit about the type of work that will be happening in this facility?
We are, as I mentioned, a Caterpillar dealer, and Caterpillar recently made an acquisition of Bucyrus International. And previously, the mining equipment that we were always associated with was equipment that would be used on the surface. And with Bucyrus, it will move us into the underground mining equipment. And that equipment requires a periodic major remanufacturing because it's in a very tough, severe environment. So this will be primarily for rebuilding underground mining equipment.
And when you talk about underground mining equipment, I mean, there's a large amount of that, but are you talking about like the low running cars and stuff like that, for example?
It'll primarily be the shuttle cars, which actually transport the coal underground, and then it'll be the continuous miners, which actually mine the coal at the face. But it will be all types of underground, and primarily that's used in what they refer to as room and pillar mining. And I'll maybe just add a little bit to the question you asked about the pay level. Again, this will be, the individual will be looking for, and so similar to some of the technicians that we currently employ, are highly skilled employees. We spend a lot of time training. We work with a lot of the technical schools developing the skills that are required to remanufacture this equipment. So we consider them very highly skilled positions because of the various levels of knowledge that they have. Because these pieces of equipment, even though they look like just some large pieces of iron, they're very sophisticated pieces of equipment. Most of them computer controlled with electrical systems, hydraulic systems, and then obviously mechanical systems that all have to be remanufactured.
You might have already touched on this, but when do you expect to begin hiring?
Currently, we're working on this contract with Caterpillar, so we will not be hiring immediately, but as we begin to ramp up, and it will probably be within the next 6 to 12 months that we will begin to make some initial hiring. It'll be, again, a little bit before we're up to the full level of employment that we're targeting with the facility at full capacity.